All right. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Dean Chinner, and this is What Would Dean Ask? So tonight, I want to ask, would you rather have a sprint burndown chart or an aging chart? All right. So what you have in front of you right now is a sprint burndown chart. This is with real data with the team I was working with before. And I want to talk about this tonight because one of the teams I'm working with right now is going to move from Scrum to Kanban, and they were asking me, "Hey, when we move to Scrum to Kanban next week, what are we going to look at? We've always looked at a sprint burndown chart." And I said, "Well, just wait. I've got something better for you, at least in my opinion." So whether you're doing Scrum, Kanban, Scrum with Kanban, XP, TTD, whatever, what I want to show you, and if you've seen my channel before, you know that the aging chart is my favorite chart. So why not compare the Scrum Burndown chart to the aging chart? So Scrum Burndown chart, so like I said, this is real data from a team I've worked with before. I just mapped it to current dates, I don't know, because I could. So when you first look at this chart, the red line here is obviously the ideal burn down line. And the blue line is the line that the team did burn down. So first thing you see is, hey, the team didn't burn down all their stories or their story points or their hours or whatever they were burning down. They didn't burn them all down. So if I'm a manager, if I'm a scrum master, if I'm a product owner, I'm like, hey, team, what gives? You only gave me half of what you said you could give me. And that's exactly what happens, right? It's like that question's not helping you, right? So there are some things that you can see from the sprint burndown chart. So it took, 5 days, probably a week. So it took 1 week before the team completed anything or burned down anything, whether it was a point, an hour, a story, what have you. So you can definitely see that. So you can say, hey, team, burn down faster. Again, right? It's like, okay, so what are we going to do? I mean, like, okay, how am I going to get stuff done faster? So, and this is why I don't like the sprint burndown chart. The sprint burndown chart is really good at setting off signals and red flags, but it doesn't give us any indication of where to go look. So I'm not saying the sprint burndown chart is bad, but I'm not saying it's good either. Okay. So if you're using a sprint burndown chart, it's in Jira, it's in Rally, right? A lot of the ALMs have them. I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I am saying please add in the aging chart. And here's why. So same data, same team. Now let's look at what happens with the aging chart. So this is this would have been this team's aging chart at the end of the sprint. So at the end of the sprint, we look at the sprint burndown chart, we look at the aging chart. Now, and if you've been in my channel before, you know how to read one of these. But if this is your first time seeing one of my videos, let's talk about the story aging chart. So each one of these bars here represent, and this is story. So like I said, this is Scrum team. So these are stories. So each one of these bars then represent a story that the team started, and you can see when the team started it. So they started a bunch of stories over here to the left. The first day of the sprint. Yeah, y'all are catching on, right? So common mistake with Scrum teams. They start all of their stories all at the same time the minute they walk out of that sprint planning. So were they really working on them? I don't know. Probably they thought they were. So automatically their whip is just, in this case, this team's whip was already at 16 stories the minute it walked out of planning. That's not what we want, right? So whether they're using task or something to try to manage that, I don't know. But they're not really managing their whip. Okay, so a bunch of stories all started, and this is what's left in the sprint. Notice what this thing's doing. This aging chart is telling you. So down at the bottom, you see the red. So what that's saying is that, hey, this thing has been open longer. You've been working on it longer than any one of the stories previously. So what gives? Right? And so that's the point, right? Immediately the bar is just like, hey, I'm red. Come look at me. So now we know, hey, just by looking at the aging chart very quickly, we can see what the problem is. Why the team's not, quote unquote, burning down their points, burning down their stories. It's because their whip is high, and they've got in this case, 3 stories that have been open a long time. Yes, I colored these. I'm not exactly sure if they represent too long for this team, but I signaled based off of the stuff that had been open longer. So real data. So there's 3 stories here at least at the end of the sprint. This is what I want to take to the retrospective. This is what I want to take to the review. This is probably where I want to start the next sprint, right? It's like boom, boom, boom. Aging chart is telling me exactly where to look. These 3 stories, this is where I want to go. And so then after I look at those, I want to go back to the product owner and say, hey, product owner, see those other stuff we're working on? We're actually going to stop working on that because we want to reduce our whip. We're going to get these 3 things knocked out. Oh, wait. They're not important anymore because we sat on them too long? Got it. So we're not going to go do those 3. But what we all do is do the next 3 that, and so we're going to prioritize better. We're going to set some whip limits. Because what the aging chart is showing us is the reason we're not burning down comes back to, again, we talk about this on my channel all the time. If you've got too much work in progress, your cycle time is going to be long. If your cycle time is long, then you're not burning down. Okay, so let's go back to the burn down chart again. If you're not burning down, then the question you should be asking yourself, if you're on the team, Scrum Master, you should be asking your team, why is our cycle time so long? 9 times out of 10, your cycle time is too long because your whip is too high. Reduce your whip. Stop starting all your stories when you exit sprint planning. Stop starting stories that aren't ready to get started. Start swarming on stories and getting them done. All right. The 10th out of 10 time, the reason your cycle time is too long is because you have a dependency problem. You started something that needed somebody else's help and wasn't ready. Which really means you're not a self-organizing team that has everything and everyone on it to get the job done. So go solve that problem. Okay? So why are we not burning down? That's the question we asked. The first thing we need to start looking at is an aging chart to try to figure out why we're not burning down. And then you're probably not burning down because your cycle times are too high because your whip is too high. If you are minimizing your whip and your cycle times are low on average, then you probably have a dependency problem. Thanks for watching. This was fun. Sprint Burndown versus aging chart. A lot of fun. If you haven't already, make sure you click like on this video if you enjoyed it. And definitely hit subscribe. I try to drop a video at least once a week on the weekends when I've got a chance. So, Sprint Burndown versus aging chart. Thanks.